I'm alive. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Polygon Forest. I am Ubisoft concept artist Vin Hill, and I am joined as ever by indie developer Mr. Christopher Jarvis.
Hello.
Hello. So today
Hello.
we are going to be talking about a few different things, I guess. Like we've got the whole news coming out of Facebook and what that means for Oculus, and also some other little
The metaverse.
the metaverse as they're calling it, which
Yeah.
everyone's sort of collectively rolling their eyes at, but we'll discuss that. There's
Yeah.
couple of tidbits with Nintendo releasing their N64 emulator stuff.
Yep.
This over the last couple of weeks, there's been some opinions about that, and
Yes.
also what else are we covering, Chris? Like we've obviously got a busy gaming season coming up, haven't we? So.
We've got a busy gaming season, so we can actually talk about some specific video games that's going to be coming out shortly. And then the last thing, which is the thing I did forget about, is that we had the Sony
The State of
showcase
Play.
and the State of Play, which we did a live video of, so you can go back and watch that if that interests you. But there's been some fallout over that as well, which we can touch on. But a couple of other admin-y things is Halloween, so happy Halloween, everyone.
Woohoo! What does that mean, Chris?
Well, that means that we're at 99 subs.
Right.
Halloween now means 99 subs. And so the next person that subs is our 100th sub,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So please like and subscribe. Definitely the subscribe bit. Like if we can get over 100 today, that'd be great. That'd be a good little.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when we get 100 subs, YouTube goes, oh, these guys are 100 subs. Let's fling a load more traffic their way. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Right.
It must be. Can't be any
Yeah,
other way.
because that's what you go from 100 to like 20,000 in about a couple of days when that happens. So please, just one more. That's all we need. That's obviously not how it works, but you know, I think Chris is. I think you're right though. Like I think you're bang on right. Like as soon as you get to a certain threshold, they start putting you in other algorithms, and you're sort of circulated amongst other people. So hopefully, we'll see.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it's going to be a hallowed eve for our sub count.
Yep. But yeah, before we get in, like to anything else, yeah, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate like everyone sort of joined us over the past sort of what we're on episode 30 now.
We're on episode 30, so everything's all coming together in one go. So it's episode 30. It's Halloween. Got 99 subs, and it's the start of like AAA game release season because it's the 31st of October.
Yep.
So it's all coming together.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah. But yes, we should probably go with what we've been playing.
Yeah, I mean,
what have we been playing?
I guess this is a long one, so I'm gonna go
Yeah.
first on this one because
It's going to get longer as we get into November, December.
Right, you've got a list ready, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I was playing this over the last week anyway was A Link to the Past. Like I mentioned it on the last episode. Finished it. I had a blast with this game. Like I forgot how good it was. It's still my favorite Zelda game. I think it's superior to even Breath of the Wild and things like that. I just really well designed game for its time as well. It was just way ahead. It just introduced a lot of stuff. It's just too bad they've never really moved away from that same sort of formula of it. But I had an absolute blast with it. I mean, dumped about 10 hours into it or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about it too much because if you haven't played Link to the Past, I mean, you can play it on absolutely anything. You can play it on a potato if you want. It's so anyone can sort of get hold of it.
Yeah. What is there be emulators on it? What are you playing it on?
I've got a SNES Classic, so the little consoles that you get two controllers with. I'm playing on that. Which was perfect for it because it didn't need anything more, and it was good to play it with like a proper Super Nintendo controller as well. Like instead of playing it with like on a touch screen or something or anything like that, I think it genuinely makes a difference to play it on with a controller that it was actually designed for. There's a lot of people miss that step more than anything. Like there's a lot of people sort of in the emulation scene that are really adamant about how you play it in terms of platform. Like, oh, you have to use this emulator with this like sort of hardware and do it like this. It's like, no, like pretty much the only thing that matters to me is like the controls itself. Like if you've got the original controller, then that's where it matters. It doesn't really matter what you play it on though.
Doesn't matter what the frame rate is, what the console is, how big the screen is. Yeah.
I mean, people would argue with that obviously, but I mean, I've never really been too precious about what you play it on. It's just like what you play it with is more important for me.
I would say that's right. I'd say there's something special about like Mega Drive controllers, about N64 control. Some more special than others. You know, people do lots of articles about the best gaming handheld devices and all this sort of stuff, like top 10 list of video game controllers, and
it genuinely depends on the game that you're playing. For me, like whenever people say, "Oh, what's the best controller ever made?" It's like probably the latest ones, because they're always innovating on those. But at the same time, like, would I have liked to have played A Link to the Past on an Xbox controller? Probably not. Like, it wouldn't. Like, everything would have felt mushy. It wouldn't have felt the same for me.
Yeah.
But it's about as like privileged as a conversation as we can get, I guess. But it's just. Yeah, just having like the clicky sort of buttons it's just great. Like, it was a great game though. Like, I'm really glad that I went back and played it. I just got an itch to play it, and I set up my PS1 mini this week as well, so I might start something else up. But I'm not too sure.
With all these games coming out, you're going back retro and having a little retro.
Yeah. I mean, it's the good thing about it as well. If I play some retro games, like by the time I get around to the newer games, then the
reviews
cheaper.
will be out, and
right.
You'll know
exactly.
Be cheaper.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff on Game Pass anyway. Like, most of the games that are coming out that I'm interested in over the next sort of few months, which we'll get into in a bit, are all coming out on Game Pass anyway, which I'm subscribed to. So, which is, I'm pretty.
So they're in the bag already. Basically, you just got to download them. Yeah.
Until next year at least, anyway, because next year is going to be Sony's territory, I think. And once we start getting into February, March, like, Sony's going to start like coming in, and that's when the $70 are going to have to start getting paid, which it's going to feel a bit weird after a couple of years, like, of not buying full price games because of things like Game Pass. But we'll have to make the transition either way. And
because of no arguably massive releases from Sony that just weren't up your street, like Returnal and things aside. Yeah, Returnal just weren't things that wasn't here with me. I mean, I'm really interested in Ratchet and Clank because I played the remake of the original, which came out on the PS4. It was fantastic, but it wasn't. One was it Shards of Time or something? Was it called? No, it's just called Ratchet and Clank because it was a remake of the first one. Oh, the original, right? Okay, right. Which is a really good starting point, and I'm glad that I played that because now I was a bit more excited for the new one. But the problem is that I mean, as much as I want to play it, I don't really want to pay $70 for that sort of game. And to each their own. I'm not saying it isn't worth $70 to everyone. It's just, for me personally, I wasn't prepared to spend that much, so I'm going to wait for a sale on that one. But that's cool. But enough about me, good sir. You're 1 week into owning an Xbox Series X. You're a newly subscribed Game Pass subscriber, I guess. You're a new customer. Yes. Balls to the wall. What have you been playing? It must be a lot. I've been playing. I've been downloading a lot and playing a lot. So I'll just quickly whiz through what I have played. So the first, again, I'm going to mention it. I mentioned it before. It was Solitaire Conspiracy was the first game because I got a code from one of the devs there. So shout out and thank you very much. That was really appreciative and really enjoyed that as far as I've got to. I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through that. Played Microsoft Flight Sim just because you got to do it. It wouldn't be a game I would buy or download or try otherwise, but the fact that it was free and I've heard so much good stuff about it, I had to check that out. I mean that sentence that you just said is the beauty of Game Pass writ large. But and I find myself trying more games as well with the active what's it called when you pause the game and then you can just jump back into quick resume the game. Quick resume. It's one of the best things. That's a game changer. No pun intended, but it really has changed how I play games. So how I interact with the media that I'm dedicated a part of my life to and I'm involved with in my spare time and something I'm really passionate about. It's totally changed the way that I interact with that media. Right. Just crazy. Because I thought I was all in when it comes to video games, but it turns out no, I've got more time that I can give because of quick resume, and I can try more different games. Because I liked being able to focus on one game, but the fact that quick resume means I'm not just sat there waiting around for games to load and unload, and the TV to turn on, and like the old days, the PlayStation used to warm up and Xbox used to warm up and
Yeah, I kind of forget.
take a
Like
while.
I've had my Series X now for the past year, and that was one of the features that was just like, okay, this feels like next gen now. And I kind of forgot about that feature, but like you're coming in fresh, and the fact that you mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, that was a huge deal. Like when that first came about.
It is a huge deal. Like you used to get in the old days, we used to get CDs, put them into the game's console, and the game used to work pretty quick.
Right.
And then the last generation, you got the CD, you put it in, and then you had to do a download. Or you did a download, and then it says, oh, you can play the game now. But it didn't really mean you could play the game. That means you could go onto like the loading screen and like watch the loading screen inside the game. So we're so used to seeing these loading bars now, and now it does feel like it's a lot quicker. So what else was I been playing? So Flight Simulator. I played a bit of Minecraft with the boy as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, of course that's on Game Pass as well.
That's on Game Pass. I need to watch a few videos about how to get into that because I went in totally blind and I just don't know what I'm doing. But we managed to get the TNT to explode some trees, so that was kind of cool. What else have I been playing? The sleeper hit in my heart is Forza Horizon 4.
Right.
Racing game. Where again, it wouldn't have been a game I would have spent full price on, and the fact it's just on Game Pass and is one of the biggest racing games out there, and the fact that we've got Forza Horizon 3 being released on the 5th of November.
Yeah, 5th. I think. Well, it's 5th or the 9th. I know they got like weird
if you
soft
buy
launches,
it,
right? Yeah.
And it's 9th on Game Pass. So 5th of November if you buy it.
4 days. Yeah, who cares?
So yeah, 4 days. 9th of November on Game Pass, and yeah, I'm like super hyped for that now. And I was telling you before that I've just been sinking hours in, not realizing it, because with the quick resume, I'm just like going to lunch on my work at work, and if I'm working from home on my lunch hour, I might just do a few quick races.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a bit of washing, I might just do a few races before bed. I might get like, I might just go downstairs and play a few races. And like, I didn't realize I like classic cars as much as I do. It's like I'm getting some of my favorite all-time cars, like the MGB GT, an old British sports car. I've got a Porsche 944. I like an affordable Porsche, which I'm actually considering buying sometime in the future. And Triumph TR6s, TR7s. So yeah, like I'm really getting into the old classic cars, which I didn't even realize I was like a fan of until like playing this game. So it's kind of like brought out something in me that I didn't really realize.
the Clarkson's coming up inside of you.
Yeah, the inner Clarkson's coming out.
The inner Clarkson.
I'm like, oh man, I like old sports cars. What's going on here? And the game's just really well put together, and it's just got that secret sauce of just keeping you immersed, keeping you playing, and it's making me super hyped for Horizon 5. I just read an article today saying that they've got 500 cars and counting in the Forza Horizon 5, which is set in Mexico. Right. So I'm looking forward to that.
The game looks absolutely gorgeous. That's the because you can really push out the power of consoles using racing games more than anything, I guess. So like that's the
you can whack a load of lighting in a racing game and it will look awesome.
Right. Yeah, especially with like RTX, like you see the reflections like catching on the ocean and stuff as you're driving around. It looks great.
Yeah, and so we've seen videos of what the next game's going to look like, but it's going to be one of those very rare situations where it's only until you've actually got the game on your TV and you're playing it that you actually get a proper sense of what it's going to look like. Right. I remember that happening with Smuggler's Run back in the day when the PlayStation 3 was released, and Smuggler's Run was like one of the launch games, and you'd seen adverts on TV or whatever, but it wasn't until I went to I can't even remember what it was. It was so long ago now. That's how old I am. There was some sort of video game convention I was at, and they had PS3s and they had Smuggler's Run playing on TVs, and you could play it, and it was just like, it was one of those like, oh, here's a next gen console,
right?
Like, here it is. It's arrived, and like that moment, I can't remember the situation, but I can remember looking at the game and being blown away.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like what is the game that did that for me? Like when we were kids.
Same with Halo.
Yeah, Halo probably.
Smuggler's Run.
I remember seeing
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, AC was a good one.
Yeah.
Like people playing the demo of that, like in Game Station or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like that would have made an impact. I remember seeing Metal Gear Solid 2 I think when I was
I remember where I was when I saw Metal Gear Solid 1
right.
on my tiny little TV on my PS1 in my bedroom, and just being blown away.
I remember seeing like screenshots of Metal Gear Solid 2, and the jump from PlayStation 1 to 2 was just like astronomical at the time. Like people sort of take for granted how much of a jump that was. And I remember seeing screenshots of 2, and I was like, yeah, it looks pretty decent. But then when you see it on a screen, it just, I still, like, that's sort of imprinted in me, like how much of a difference it made. But yeah, it looked great.
It'll be interesting to see if that happens with Forza Horizon 5 going from 4. Because the thing I love about it as well is when you complete a race and it goes to like the loading screen where it's trying to sell you something like expansion packs of like its Lego edition and all this sort of stuff, and you get a glimpse of it because the Xbox Series X is so fast that it loads the world up again quicker than you can see the advert, which I just love.
It's great.
It never gets old.
Right.
Never gets old. And then the biggest one is that I'm liking in terms of a gaming experience is Battlefield 5.
Oh, okay.
Is it Battlefield 5? Yeah.
Yeah, it will be.
Or is it Call of Duty 5?
No, it would have been Battlefield 5. So is
Battlefield 5.
Is it the is it World War 2?
World War 2 one.
Yeah, it's Battlefield 5.
Battlefield 5. I get confused because they're all the same to me. Yeah, Battlefield 5. And just playing the main campaigns with that, and it just feeling pretty epic. The guns feel awesome. The sound is amazing. Level design is great. The missions are just, everything's nailed. Like the fact that you go from like snow levels and North Africa desert. And
yeah, it's very much a game that was designed for, I would argue, for next gen more than anything else. It was, because like when I played this game on the PlayStation 4, like it struggled basically. It was really low frame rate. It didn't look great. The loading times were awful. Like, and I mean probably the longest in most games that I've played. When they were announcing like the port for this on the Series X, I was like, I'm in, sort of thing. That was one of the first things I downloaded for my Series X, because I was more excited about the fact that EA were sort of getting rid of the loading screens for Battlefield, which is just such a massive difference to Battlefield fans, like people that play Battlefield long term. Like that was probably the biggest hindrance over anything, in my opinion. Yeah. So the fact that they've sort of mitigated them down, I guess, but that's what makes 2042 is like way more exciting. Just the idea, like, because this was just a patch as well. Like this was just ported over from the last gen Battlefield 5 was, but the next one's going to be from the ground up. So that hopefully there should be no loading screens whatsoever, which would be great. Like we'll have lobbies and stuff where people have to pile in and stuff. But like it was like the 2 or 3 minute load times were just like, man, like the maps are just massive, so it sort of had to be. But
yeah, I guess that's one of the things I was subconsciously impressed by, was how big the maps were for the single player campaign, like how vast they were, because they've got like this open world element to them where you go off and do objectives, and just traversing that and it loading in super quick with cutscenes and stuff. I'm just like super impressed. Yeah. So that was really good. So yeah, we kind of touched on it a bit, I guess, with the launch of Forza Horizon 5 on the 5th of November or the 9th on Game Pass. We've also got some other games that we're looking forward to, haven't we?
We do have some bangers on the way, don't we? Yeah, I mean, because we were sort of talking about this in the pre-show, but we are in video games release season now. Like it started happening. Like,
it's now.
It's
going to get into games. Now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking through news articles, like just to sort of get a gauge on what we were going to be talking about today, and just seeing like all the reviews for Guardians of the Galaxy and like Age of Empires 4 go by and stuff, and just games are coming out now. Like this is...
Oh yeah, Guardians is out now, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's released.
Yeah, it's been out. Yeah. It's been doing pretty well on Metacritic, I think. I think it was like 8 it was getting, I want to say. Not that
you can do a Google race.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing, like, I never like basing like the quality of a game on its Metacritic score. Like that's one thing, but it's the only real gauge that I've got, unless I've like actually played the game for now. But it didn't
77 Meta score, 8.2 user score,
8 out of 10. So yeah, I mean it's probably gonna be because like the couple of things which I've read about it, like people are not clicking completely with certain characters in the in the sort of main lineup. Like some people really don't like Quinn, and then there's other people that don't like Rocket, and then there's like this weird, like no one can really agree on what they don't or don't like about it, but mostly like there's holes in the story and stuff apparently.
Okay, that's interesting.
But I'm gonna read a few reviews, and like if a sale comes around, then I might pick it up because I'm into that sort of like goofy, dry humor. It kind of reminds me of Brooklyn Nine-Nine in that respect. You know, like that sort of, you know, bad American humor, which is good at the same time. Like Guardians of the Galaxy is very that. You know,
I was very much avoiding Brooklyn Nine-Nine for years and years and years, and then it wasn't until it was like forced upon me that I actually found myself enjoying it. So it was very much something that I avoided until then. So hopefully that's the same with Guardians of the Galaxy, because at the minute I am in a kind of a that's a bit what's the word, wooden, I guess, some of the dialogue.
Right.
So maybe hopefully it's just I'm not getting it. I'm just not getting the vibe, and then when I get it, then I get it. Yeah, it's like any series really that's successful and long running. You've got to invest the time to know what the characters are like, so that when they act out of character, the impact is greater. Whereas if you see it out of context, it doesn't really hit as much. So hopefully that's just what's going on. So Red Guardians, waiting for that. I think we're both on the same of like wait and see what happens with that. It's not one of the ones that I'm gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew that anyway. Like when we saw the announcement for it, it was like like a Marvel game sort of thing. Like very seldom do I have them sort of moments. I mean, Spider-Man is probably the exception for that. That was the only time that I was like, okay, I need to play this because this is doing waves right now. People are talking about this a lot, and it seems to be really great. And it was like Spider-Man on the PS4 was fantastic. It was one of the best games of the last generation. So
yeah, I'm gonna wait until I get the PS5 to play the Miles Morales. And get both of them.
Yeah, don't play the PS4 versions. Christ, if you're gonna do it properly. And you don't.
I'm gonna do it properly.
Yeah, you don't want to rid yourself of like potential games you could play when you do finally get a PS5 anyway, because they're few and far between for the time being. But
yep, that's also a very valid point. Yeah, because usually I'd get rid of the PS4. But if I get a PS5, interesting. Okay.
Well, it's backwards compatible anyway, so
it's backwards compatible.
You can get rid of the PS4 because like people have been asking. Like I've been asked a few times, like, is the PlayStation 5 worth it? And it's like it's not really a PlayStation 5 right now. It's more like a PlayStation Pro 2. PlayStation 4 Pro 2, that's sort of what it feels like. It's just everything's a bit more up res, like it's got high, like you're not really playing anything new really, and everything that is coming out on the PS5 is also coming out on the PS4 as well. So it's just weird like in between moment that we're in at the moment.
With very few exceptions,
right. So it's I don't know, it's very hit and miss, but you know. It's always good.
It's like a soft launch.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Oh, without doubt. Like that.
Yeah,
that's
we've got some big things on the horizon.
Right. I don't want. I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Chris. No, when like I give that criticism, I'm like I want to be very clear about that. Like it's not that I don't think PlayStation 5 won't be an amazing console with all these great exclusives for PlayStation 5 only. Like it absolutely will get there without a doubt. Probably by the end of next year, I would argue. Like there's a lot of stuff in the pipe. We just need to get rid of this. I don't know, like the fact that Horizon, Forbidden West, and God of War Ragnarok are both coming to PS4 is sort of a bummer to me. Like the fact that them games aren't built from the ground up.
They're made for that, and they've got some sprinkling of special sauce for the PS5, and they're not PS5 exclusive.
It just feels like they're ports at that point, which essentially they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're still going to be great games, but like I have to think about like how much better could they have been if they were just like unleashed from the PlayStation 4 and it was PS5 only. But you know, Shogun.
We've got a whole generation of great games waiting. So we've still got like 5-6 years of no, not even 6 years, because we're already a year in, aren't we? So it's like 5 years.
Right.
Okay, that's a bit scary.
Christ. Yeah, they're probably already preparing the launches for the intermittent ones, you know, like the Xbox Series
PS5 Pro,
X Pro, like the PS5 Pro and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
That's kind of, okay. Time's just sped up.
Right.
Well, time has no meaning.
Yeah, I mean, what else is in the pipe for you? Like, you were talking about Call of Duty Vanguard. Are you interested in that?
Yes. Like, the Battlefield 5 has got me excited for Battlefield Vanguard.
Call of Duty Vanguard, you mean?
Call of Duty Vanguard because of Battlefield Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
It's all shooty games.
The World War shooty game that I'm playing currently has got me excited for the new World War II shooty game.
Right. That's good.
I
like World War II shooty games though. Like I love them.
I think it's not coming to Game Pass, so it's going to be a big chunk of money. We talked about this in the pre-show. Do I buy it pre-launch? Like not pre-launch, but like do I buy it before like game reviews come out? Do I wait and see some gameplay? Do I wait till the reviews come out? Do I get some YouTubers that I know and trust and like and see what their opinion is? Do I wait for the girlfriend review video? Because there'll definitely be one. And she kind of vibe with her opinion on most things really, which is quite rare. But also, you know, I've got a YouTube channel that's nearly 100 subs, so playing next gen games is kind of going to be beneficial.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely in the boat of getting them both. How quickly I get them both is another question. I mean, I'm really interested in Call of Duty Vanguard just for the campaign because I like World War II campaigns in general. Like I've always sort of had fun with those. Call of Duty World War II was really good. Like I really enjoyed that just for the campaign alone. Like I did enjoy the multiplayer as well, but not as much as the campaign. It's kind of weird. I'm one of those weird creatures that likes Call of Duty for the campaign more than the multiplayer these days.
Same.
And then Battlefield is the opposite. Like I play Battlefield for the multiplayer. I think it's just a superior game for like when you're just running around and no pun intended in the battlefield and there's just like planes crashing and exploding in front of you. It's just like how cinematic
crazy stuff going off.
How cinematic like Battlefield is compared to Call of Duty. It's night and day. And Call of Duty is very arcadey and it's just filled with what it feels like just a bunch of kids like hopped up on Red Bull that don't have a job and they can practice for 9 hours a day and they just basically wreck you no matter what you try. So you can never really catch up, but you have a bit more of a chance in Battlefield, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That sounds about right. Proper generalization for sure, but there'll be that slightly a majority more kids with Red Bull, that get real good real quick.
That's the feeling I get anyway. How true it is a different matter.
Yeah. It's just that we're terrible at online multiplayer games. That's probably what it is.
I think that's fair. That is definitely fair.
But I'm looking forward to it, but it's just whether or not I shell it out. I probably will wait, and there'll be something that will make me change my mind, hopefully. But like I say, I've only been with the Xbox Series X for a week, so I'm still like, you know.
True, you are fresh, but you've got a lot to chip through, I guess, before you even get to the new stuff.
And all my time is being spent on, like, I'd say the majority of my time has been spent on Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah.
Crazy, but I think it's because of the game, like because it's a racing game, and you can just do little bits and bobs, chip away at it. You can't really chip away at like a World War II campaign.
This is true.
Like, I'm just going to go around this corner and shoot this German guy, and then I'll
go back to
kettle on and do some washing, and then I'll like pick it up again and go around another corner and shoot another German guy. You know, it doesn't.
Maybe it will, like with quick resume. Like you're about to find out that, but quick resume literally changes everything at this point. Like I think this week I hadn't played. I was playing through Halo 5 recently, like weeks ago, and I totally forgot about it. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably just go and, like, I'm just going to go and do a mission now while I've got like an hour spare or whatever.
Yeah.
And I clicked on Halo 5 and it quick resumed from like a month ago. And it just like, I was in the middle of a level. I was like, all right, cool. It just carried on. It was just nuts, like how it still does that, you know? So yeah, you'll find that though. Like even with what you would think are really linear single player games, it still helps a lot just having that feature. And I think that is the killer feature over anything that PlayStation's got going on right now, which I think at some point, I think PlayStation are probably going to integrate some form of quick resume. They just have to, man.
They have to catch up because it's getting to that. Well, you'd already said it several times before on the podcast that like Xbox is your main console and the PlayStation is like the special occasion console. Mostly that's because of the games that are available on both consoles, but you know, quick resume is obviously a huge factor in that as well, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Because I've gone from the PS4 Pro, and so I've got a PS4 Pro and the Xbox Series X, and yeah, it's like night and day with how much more usability is on the Xbox at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like doing the whole like Xbox versus PlayStation too much. It's just like right now, if I was like, they've got very specific use cases at this point. Like
now is the time for Xbox, but in a few months it's going to be
it's going to flip. Absolutely,
it's going to flip. Yeah.
Like when I mean when
and it'll
Horizon
be genre defining. So like for racing games, they'll flip at different times, and for like, when Halo comes out, then that's going to be an Xbox's favor, and then action adventure games. It's kind of crazy when you think that they are really both of them at the top of their game. They're just taking shots at being first.
I mean it's so
genres.
good. Like the competition. Like I've been saying this for a couple of years now, but when Xbox started getting their stuff together and they were like, okay, in the next gen, we're not going to make the same mistakes as what we made on Xbox One. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. We've got Game Pass, and they're just building up this service and just all this stuff, like all this good stuff that they've been doing, buying out these companies. Like if that's good or not, like is debatable. But as a business, like they're building this competition for Sony, which is important. Like that is critical because now we're just getting all this awesome stuff, and like us, the gamers, are sort of the recipients of that, and
we're reaping the benefits,
right?
Yeah,
and we're just sat here rubbing our hands together because these two giants are fighting each other, and it's great. Like we're just like picking up the scraps off the floor, sort of thing. But it's great.
Exactly. We're gorging ourselves on the caviar and cake that they're throwing at our feet.
Right, there you go.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like that's more like it.
That's fair.
Because they're splashing the cash. They're like giving us a lot of content for not much money at the minute, which is great. Well, after you get around the initial console price, which is
there's that.
Which has been well documented that it's not expensive. It's not extortionate for
what you get. I mean, for a PC of the same sort
money.
of caliber, like you're looking at double the price, easy. So for the same power as an Xbox Series X, if you were to build that PC, it would cost you $1,000
That's a
versus
really
the
good
500.
point, actually.
Like I think people miss that a lot.
Terabyte of storage is standard. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that. Yeah, it's really cheap versus a PC. And apologies for anyone that's hearing Rachel dying in the background there.
How dare you sneeze on our podcast? Sorry, it's just my wife sneezing. She's alright. But yeah, I mean, what else is coming out? We've got Jurassic World Evolution 2. I'm really excited about this. I played the first game a couple of years ago and absolutely fell in love with it. I'm really looking forward to the sequel. I think it's actually one of my most anticipated games this year, which is strange, but yeah, it's just like this, this park simulator for dinosaurs. Like I'm all about this though.
It's kind of like Theme Hospital or like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but with Jurassic Park.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, and they've done this like a few times, like this, like Operation Genesis on the PlayStation 2 and stuff, and that like they've done this genre many times, but they've really figured it out in the Evolution games. I think like it's just such a great when you get into the loop of just making the perfect park, and you're like, okay, I've got my visitors doing X, Y, and Z, and they get to see T-Rex as they walk. Like it's so dumb, but it's just fun, Yeah,
I've seen the trailer, and the trailer looks really cool. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Yeah. And it's good that you're excited about that. And it's kind of weird that we're excited about stuff with this next gen that we didn't realize we'd be excited about. Like if we'd have said a year ago, what are you going to be excited about? Would you have said Jurassic Park, and would I have said Forza Horizon?
Probably
no.
Not. Yeah, probably not.
So we're getting surprised by what we're seeing, which is great.
Yeah, and this is just next month, like all this stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's just next month. We haven't talked about Nintendo yet.
Yeah, there is some Nintendo news, isn't there? I guess
there is.
Yeah,
with the controllers and the N64 stuff. It's basically not up to par, is it? Really? Well,
no, not really. I mean,
not really up to Nintendo standards.
Yeah, I mean the Nintendo seal of quality is sort of, it's sort of an ongoing joke at this point. Like there's a lot of people that have sort of been poking fun at it over the last couple of days. But if you don't know, if you're new to the story at least, Nintendo released their Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, which they've been talking about for the past month, I guess. And which basically included a N64 emulator on the Switch, so you can download and play N64 games on your Nintendo Switch, which all sounds great.
Which
on
is
paper.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's just the emulation is probably like one of the worst.
One of the worst ones.
One of the worst ones that they could have used, because it's an in-house emulator that they're using, which means that they built this emulator internally, And it's actually the same emulator, like to get really in the weeds on it. It's the same emulator which they used on the Mario All Stars, like 3D All Stars game, which wasn't too revered anyway. Like there's just a lot of problems with it. Like the input lag is pretty bad on it. So when you hit a button, like the time between the actual input being registered by the game itself is a lot slower than it would be on native hardware.
Oh, that's a shame.
So there's that. So it's not as responsive as it is. Like, but most people wouldn't notice that. Graphics.
Is that what we think's going on with the N64 emulator?
Yeah, there's that, and then there's
laggy.
Yeah, there's also like graphical issues. Like there's like on older games like the N64 and the PlayStation 1, they used to like have to hide everything in fog in the distance pretty much because of draw distance and stuff, and like they just didn't have enough processing power to sort of like
have
show it properly.
All elements on the screen. Yeah,
which is like, you would think that's good if they take that away, but when you sort of design a game around that, it basically it looks weird without it. So like in Ocarina of Time and Zelda Ocarina of Time, there's like really atmospheric sort of fog everywhere, and it looks like really eerie in places, and like places where it's meant to be creepy or like you're not meant to be able to see in the distance and stuff like that. Like it works because they sort of designed the game around that. But because they've thinned out the fog on it, like I know this sounds ridiculous, but because they've thinned out the fog, it looks weird or off. Like it just doesn't look right. Everything looks really plain. The lighting's flat and just doesn't look great. Like it's just not very accurate to how it was on the original console. So a lot of people have been complaining about that sort of stuff. And for double the price, or over double the price, it's people are starting to ask like, okay, where is the value here? And a lot of people have been complaining about it. So
yeah. And the controllers are like $50, aren't they, as well? So
yeah,
it's a crazy price point.
But they did sell out, so they must be doing something right. You know, that's the weird thing.
They sold out.
Yeah, I mean, there is one silver lining to all of this. Like after the Switch Online stuff was sort of released, they had data miners went nuts. Basically, they hacked out the whole of like the online system. They figured out that the game slots that they've got, I think they've got like 20 games or something at the moment, and they've got enough slots for like 40 games altogether. I think it's like 38 or something. So they're gonna be adding more to it. So maybe the value, if they tweak the emulator, maybe if they do an update and then they fix the emulation stuff and then they add double the games,
it
might be worth it in time. So it might sort itself out in that respect. So there's a lot, like, as much as there's doom and gloom around this, and it's very strange to see the sort of fan base turn on Nintendo on this particular thing over anything else that they've done.
Of everything else, any number of things they haven't.
This is the hill they die on.
That they've
yeah, very strange to me. But
the straw that broke the camel's back. They're like, that's one step too far, Nintendo. Like you don't mess with N64 stuff,
right?
Like.
Very strange. Even though it's like one of their worst selling consoles, like after like the Wii U, I think N64 is after, like is the second worst selling console. Like people still love and revere like the games on that system. So it's
no bought it. It's like the Ramones, I suppose, isn't it? Like, a million people bought the Ramones albums or whatever, but
it's just Vincent Van Gogh. Yeah, it's just Vincent Van Gogh paintings.
Like, yeah, exactly.
The guy died in poverty.
What was it about Sony we were going to say as well?
The state of play.
Oh yeah. So the state of play.
Speaking of
didn't go down very well.
Yeah.
Speaking of moaning and complaining, you lot don't like Sony either now, no more.
Apparently, yeah. It's been a weird sort of couple of months. Like everyone's sort of turned, like the circular firing squad is out in force.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of the state of play. Like, I mean, we watched it. You can go and watch the video. We've got it on our channel. You can go and check it out. If you're an audio listener, then go and check our YouTube channel out. Yep. We don't put the reaction videos in audio form for good reason. But,
yeah, because it's usually in our eyes.
Indeed.
Where the reaction happens.
Right. Not our voices.
And we're British, so we're not very good at communicating our emotions.
Yeah, we've had some complaints about how depressed we look when we watch stuff, but at least it's real. We're not being like whoa and stuff like that.
Yeah, like oh my god.
Yeah, God, I hate them reaction videos if I'm honest. So Yeah. So,
we should call it like British reaction videos, like so that people have an expectation. It's like it's gonna be it's gonna be mundane. It's gonna be
subdued British reaction video.
Yeah, like
that's what we should call it.
Eyebrows were raised.
Right.
My eyebrows are really high. That means I really like it.
Yeah.
Like,
what an interesting concept.
Yeah. But yes, what?
Yeah, I mean,
what was we saying?
Yeah,
they didn't like
basically,
it.
we watched it. We didn't think it was that bad because we pretty much tempered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we tempered our expectations anyway based on what Sony actually told us. So we looked at what they said and we said, yeah, it's probably going to be a small one. It's probably going to be a few like little hits here and there. We saw a little devil inside, and that's exactly what it was. We got what we expected. However, like if you tell anyone not to like have any expectations, the first thing
expectations will be had.
Right, exactly. It doesn't matter what you tell gamers apparently, and this whole like recent wave of, it's great when companies like tell us up front like how to sort of put our expectations, but everyone just freaks out anyway. So it's we're in this weird sort of, I don't know.
I've seen comments of like, oh, thanks for tempering our expectations, and then others like, why did you tell us it was going to be bad and then it was bad? And then you get people like, first they tell us it's going to be bad and then we don't like it anyway. It's just like, they can't win.
They really can't.
People that didn't see the tempering of the expectations, and they were like, oh, why is there no Horizon?
Yeah, it's stuff like that, man. Like, oh, where's the next gen sort of AAA announcement from Sony? It's like they specifically said they weren't going to do that, guys. But yeah, it was fine to us, but yeah, people were not happy about this thing, and it's been sort of panned by critics everywhere. People saying that this was the worst Sony state of play in their history of doing online events.
Of it. I mean, you could argue, yes, it's true because the vast majority of people are only into AAA games.
Yeah.
And because people are now being switched on to the digital showcase stuff, more and more audiences come in to view these type of events. There'll be a lot of people, but they're checking it out and they're expecting, like, God of War announcement caliber stuff because it's not worth it. And then when you get a few like small studios releasing their little niche game and Sony decide to bundle it up, package it and put it in a video, people get upset because it's not what they're wanting. The best way to deal with it, I think, is just try and take the best that you can. Like the Devil Inside, we both got kind of like excited for that. Our eyebrows were both risen extraordinarily high. We're hyped up for that. We can't wait to see what it's like.
I mean, I'm fascinated by that game. Like, I have no idea what you do in it, pretty much. Like, I'm still pretty confused about it. Like,
what is the gameplay loop? Like, I've never seen so much of a game and not had a clue what the gameplay loop is.
Yeah, it just looks...
Or even a hint of what the story is. Like, I know none of those things.
Yeah, it just draws you in. That's the weird thing about it.
I've seen several minutes of gameplay.
Yeah.
I've seen several minutes of gameplay and I still don't know what the gameplay is. What's all that about?
Yeah, it's very weird. I mean, there is a massive silver lining to this, which I think people are sort of missing, I guess, like the critics at least, is that it's been heavily rumored that PlayStation have got something happening in December, like an event of some kind, like whether that be like a massive sort of state of play, like E3 scale state
proportions.
Of play.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them rumors, and I kind of feel like this was the event where, okay, we need to show this stuff at a state of play, but we don't really have a room for it in the big sort of
December one.
So let's just put all these together, get it out early, and then people can get excited about this stuff by itself, and then we can focus on the bigger stuff in December. That's sort of the impression that I got from this.
That's interesting.
So
yeah, that would be good if that is the case. But this year has been, in all, it's probably been the worst in terms of videos, but that's because we've had COVID.
Yeah, I think
everything's been pushed back. Everything's been taken on hold. So this is all the stuff that did manage to get done. So everyone should just be a bit more grateful, really, considering everything that the whole world has gone through and the entertainment industry's, taken a massive hit. People still can't buy PlayStations and Xboxes. I don't know why everyone's getting so upset about all these little things.
Yeah, I mean, it's because a lot of people think that 2020 was the year that everything was sort of delayed because of COVID, and it's sort of games take a long time to make, so the delays which happened in 2020, we're now seeing the effects of, pretty much.
Yeah.
So like I think this is going to extend way into 23, easy. Like I think we're still going to see like games that should have been out in 22 are going to be coming out in 23, and we're not really going to properly catch up for maybe even for the rest of the generation. It could be like we could be like this perpetual year behind on everything for a while.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like before COVID, the whole video game industry was in a unrealistic expectation sort of mist of like, oh, this is going to be our release date. Oh, it's been postponed. This is going to be our release date. Oh, it's been postponed. Like that was the world pre-COVID. Now we've got delays on top of delays. The consumer is getting quite rightly upset about it. Right. But it's because studios are stupid enough, or marketing departments are stupid enough. I don't know who's stupid enough, but there's a lot of people that think it's clever or good or worth the money or worth the long-term investment to say that games are going to come out way before they're ready to come out.
Yeah.
And so we've got to learn that, or we're just going to be having more angry Twitter people. Maybe that doesn't cost any money whatsoever. Everyone being angry and getting on Twitter and venting their frustration at delays.
I mean, it's good exposure,
maybe that
right?
has no impact to sales, or only positive impact. It's possible.
Yeah, because all news is good news when it comes to marketing anyway, right? Because like if your name's in circulation, it's like, okay, cool, like more people are aware of our brand, our product, and now it's going to sort of perpetuate out. And we see that all the time with games, like that's definitely, I mean, look at Cyberpunk, like it's an absolute car wreck of a game. Yeah, it sold 13 million copies in like 2 weeks. So it's sort of, you got to take a step back from that and think, okay, how much does like this stuff actually matter?
They're still winning at computer games.
Exactly. Like they're still selling stuff. Like did they quote like, oh, they're gonna learn their lesson after Cyberpunk? It's like, are they really like gonna learn their lesson? I don't think so. Why would they?
News articles are still doing news article outlets are still doing articles on Cyberpunk about, oh look, here's some stuff that's released now, another new update. Like it just keeps on going. The news cycle just keeps on going.
I think you've nailed it there in that respect, where you mentioned the fact that like there's always these articles talking about the updates, because every time they put out one of those articles, like they get more gamers. They get more gamers reading it and be like, oh, maybe it's okay now.
Maybe now's the right time.
And it's just free marketing. They get an advertisement.
How can they learn off No Man's Sky? Because that had like one of the longest like news cycles ever. It had like 3-4 year news cycle when it was launched.
It's a massive redemption story.
And we see it all the time. Successful.
Yeah, same with Final Fantasy 14. The exact same thing. I know you've never played it, but it was an MMO. Like when 1.0.
Keep bringing that up, Vin. Keep mentioning that to people.
Yeah, well, Chris has never played a Final Fantasy game. Everyone send him your hate mail at. Where can people find you on Twitter, Chris? Like,
no, I'm not gonna say now until the end of the episode. Hopefully they've forgotten.
Hopefully, but yeah, I mean, there was when Final Fantasy 14 first came out, it was an absolute mess. It was the worst MMO launch in human history, and it's now one of the most successful MMOs just because they completely killed the project and then rebooted it and started again, re-released it under a new name, like A Realm Reborn. It's called now. Final Fantasy 14: A Realm Reborn. And they just went through this whole cycle of redemption, basically. It's the same thing as No Man's Sky, and hopefully we get the same thing out of Cyberpunk eventually. But, I mean, just this month, I think, it was like this week, they had like more announcements saying that their next-gen patch or whatever is getting delayed until next year now. So, who couldn't see that coming? As you were saying before, though, they just need to stop announcing these things. They just need to... Like, there's nothing wrong with marketing the game.
Consumers want. Yeah. I think we've nailed it. I think it's making them more money, or at least marketing departments are saying you need to keep marketing departments around longer because these marketing cycles are showing that people are still buying the game. And look, we've still got news in the articles. Therefore, I need to keep my marketing job, keep pushing it, keep announcing, keep delaying, keep announcing, keep delaying, keep it in the press, blah blah blah. Could be one of those self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah, I think so.
That marketing departments are sort of relating to sales figures, and it might not have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because they've got like when you announce a game, like the ideal world would be, as a gamer anyway, would be like the Fallout 4 method is like it's the most perfectly marketed game in video game history, in my opinion. I think it's just an absolute masterclass in how to sell a game. Like if you go back, how they announced that game at E3 that year, and it was coming out that November. So they only had like 4 months. They announced the game, and then 4 months later it was out. And just like how they had
unheard of now.
Fallout Shelter like was the iOS app that came out at the announcement, and they're like, okay, you can go and download and play this now, get excited, like pre-order the game. Like, and they did all this within like a 5-month window. But at the same time, I sort of get why they announced release dates so early as well. I kind of go back and forth on this. Like, I understand why they do it as much as I don't like it. It's because as soon as you announce a release date, then people are allowed to pre-order the game.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, like if the release date changes, then it kicks back all the pre-orders to all the customers, and then they have to re-pre-order it. It's a weird word to say, but that's just how re-pre-order. That's like that's just the legalese of it. Like that's just how it happens. Like if you pre-order a game, it gets delayed, you get your money back automatically now. That's just how it works. And the quicker you can sort of announce the game, say, okay, it's coming out on next date, then you can start getting pre-orders in early, so you can gauge like if the game is going to be successful, like how much DLC you need to make for it, and all that sort of stuff. So it's just as much as I don't like it as a gamer, I understand it from a business standpoint. But yeah, everyone should just be Fallout 4. That's all I'm basically trying to say, I guess.
Yeah. Everyone should get 5-month window. The best marketing team wins.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I think that's a good way. We should probably start talking about Facebook and Metaverse.
We should, as it is on the thumbnail. That is a good point.
It's on the thumbnail. You probably might be why you've clicked on the video.
Yeah.
Yes, there was the Facebook video. It's been all over the press. Mark Zuckerberg being a crazy lizard alien man, depending on what your flavor of conspiracy theory is.
Right.
I just think Mark's just being Mark. He's doing his best as he can, being a human. He's cut him a break. He's a very successful person. So let's just leave that at that. But the main news in terms of how it relates to a video game podcast is the Oculus Quest and the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah.
Long story short, I've had a look, and people were under the impression that Oculus was dead and it would be taken over by the metaverse, and that there would be no Facebook and it would just be Meta. Meta is just one of the worst.
I think what's happened is obviously, to give some backstory on this, Facebook have announced that they're changing the name of their parent company to Meta.
Parent company to Meta. Right. Yeah.
And that obviously swallows Oculus. But I think what people have done, like the average consumer has sort of seen that, Facebook is changing to Meta. That means they've had a takeover by this random company called Meta that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
And now they're thinking, okay, Oculus is dead because they've been taken over. And it's this weird like snowball of assumptions has happened.
Yes,
almost, so.
That's exactly it. So Facebook tried to put on a video to try and clear everything up, and it's just made everything worse. Well, the people that just sort of caught glimpses and bits and pieces just all got the wrong end of the stick. So to clear it up, Oculus isn't dead per se, but Oculus won't be called Oculus anymore. Right. So Oculus, I'm not sure if Oculus was originally by Facebook or whether or not Oculus existed and then Facebook bought it. But basically,
it was Oculus were like an individual company, and then they were bought out by Facebook originally.
They were bought out by Facebook. Okay. So now Oculus isn't going to be Oculus anymore. Oculus will be Meta Oculus Quest 2 for the hardware, and Oculus Quest app for the application. So you've got the hardware, which is the VR headset, and you've got the application, which is like basically like a desktop where you can buy the games and preload it onto your headset and things like that. So you've got Meta Oculus. So they're just basically putting the word Meta in front of Oculus. Beardo Benjo, the YouTuber who's basically got big from Oculus Quest 2, basically from like VR headset videos and stuff.
Yeah, he does great content, by the way. Like, everyone should go and check out his channel.
Yeah, check out his channel if you're not already, but chances are if you're looking at this video, you kind of already are subbed to him. So it doesn't need the traffic. But if you sub to him, sub to us, you could be the 100th sub, who knows. He got lots of comments of like, oh, I'm sorry to hear, because he just joined Oculus. He's just become an Oculus Ambassador. And so he got loads of subs, and he's just passed a huge milestone. I can't remember what it is. I think it's like 10,000 or so subs.
Very
and
cool.
he's just become a Oculus ambassador. He still is an Oculus ambassador, except the name of the company is now like Meta Oculus. So don't worry about it. It's all the same. Basically, what an ambassador is that they all get the same access to all the same marketing materials, press information from developers that release games on the Oculus Quest and Oculus Quest 2. So that is still going to be happening. So all the same people will get the same information all at the same time. So all the embargoes remain intact, and it's, you know, the integrity of the safety of information shared from developers to content creators is all in one place. It's all on one platform. It's all easily obtainable. That's basically what the Oculus Ambassador program is.
Yeah.
So that's still going ahead. So people are just like, oh no, all these ambassadors, they're out of a job. Well, one, it's not a job. It's just access to information based on how many, you know, if you've got a good reputation, you've got a good sub count, you've got, you know, you're reliable and dependable, you can have access to this, basically a file. You get access behind the firewall of, you know, media stuff.
Yeah.
It's basically like a media person. They're like a little media company, and they're like part of the little media gang. I guess that's kind of what it is. But yeah, all these weird assumptions that like they were like that program was going to get dropped because they thought they were getting taken over by a company. It's like, no, it's just Facebook doing some in-house admin basically, and some marketing. I caught bits and pieces of that release, and one of the scariest things, I don't know about your opinion on this, Vin, is so Mark Zuckerberg isn't known for his acting, but he was doing acting where he and his friends were hanging out in like a VR headset space, and they were using like live cameras, and like they would, like, some of them were avatars, and yeah, it's really weird. Anyway, the thing I want to get your thought on is, at one point someone interrupts Mark Zuckerberg when they was talking and making jokes with his friends, and says, hey, I'm in London or wherever, I think it's London, and these artists are putting up some murals in London, check these out, they've got some QR codes that we can scan, and you can see the art in the VR headset space. And so there was like street art on the wall, and took a picture on the wall, and then in the VR headset space that was shared between friends, there was like some 3D art. So like the art that was on the wall became 3D and started to animate. And then the art that was 3D animating and in 3D space then started to fade. And then Mark Zuckerberg was like, oh, the art is fading. What's happening? And then the woman that was on the end of the phone was like, oh, I'll tip the artist and then it will come back. And then they like were able to do in the VR space, they were like able to tip the artist.
Right, it's blockchain.
And then the art. It's on the video now. You've got the video up.
Yeah. I've just scrubbed along and I've just found it.
Yeah. So this, to me, is very scary. And I've not seen many people mention how scary this is. Like, the fact that art is becoming temporary or hidden behind a paywall, to me, is against one of the principles of art, in that you can't have art fade away. Like, no artist would want their art to fade away.
Yeah.
Yeah, artists should get paid for their art, sure. But having a feature which, like, has a time limit on art, it kind of seems counterintuitive to what artists want to do. To me, an artist wants to create something that will last a long time, not like be hidden behind a paywall. And having a whole tip your artist so that you can keep the art mentality, to me, my initial thought is, I don't know if it's just because I don't know about it, it's scary and new, so I'm scared.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, like, there's a lot to unpack here, but I guess like the main thing is that if you're asking an artist, do you want their art to fade? It's like, okay, how much are you willing to pay me for it to fade away? Like, that's that's the blunt end of it. Because if you're an artist, like, you look at NFTs and things like that, it's basically what this is. It's a part of blockchain. It's about like being able to sell your art online, and people will be able to appreciate it, and like you get paid as the artist. Like, there's been a lot of artists that have made a lot of money over the past sort of year, just purely because like people are willing to buy it all of a sudden, and they're making a ton of money from it. So they're willing to make these things exclusive, because then it allows them to generate an income for it, which is it depends what type of artist you are in that respect. You know, like if you're an artist that's trying to make a living, then this could be a really good thing. If you're an
Yeah.
artist that just wants your art to be seen, though, then that's a really bad thing, because then you're sort of making it, like it sort of cheapens your art. Like, oh, you haven't got yours on like this new Meta social app or whatever. Like, is it really worth my time? Like, if no one has to buy it, sort of thing. It's like free YouTube video versus a season on Netflix. Like, that's the sort of thing that we're talking about here, right? Which both have their value.
Banksy did that art piece where there was the live auction for the
shredded itself.
It shredded itself after it had bought. So that's kind of like a meta version of what's happening here.
No pun intended. Yeah.
Oh, it's such a bad name.
It's a pretty bad name. But yeah, I mean, I think the main thing about the art being sold, like, yeah, it feels gross, but it really depends, like, how much, like, how it's implemented.
I'm all for artists getting a payday, and this also seems like a more accessible way for artists to get paid, which it doesn't have the whole, NFT hex associated with it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically, if you can provide a platform to simplify all that on both ends as well, like for the artist that's uploading this sort of stuff. Because right now, like, if you're an artist and you want to make one of your like pieces of art into an NFT, you have to go through a whole process of like sign up to a Bitcoin. You have to decide which Bitcoin you can
grab
use.
Some Ethereum, yeah.
Right? You have to use Ethereum or whatever. Gas fees, like how much it actually costs to actually what do they call it when you're minting? That was it.
Minting the coin, yeah.
Yeah, when you're minting like your art pieces as well, and then trying to find actually buyers for it, and where do you upload it? Like, which website do you use? You use Foundation or OpenSea, and there's all these things that you have to try and figure out just to get it up there, to see if people will even buy it, and that's before anyone even buys it.
That's because it's emerging technology, it's emerging thing. So we still haven't had our Amazon version of
and
online bookstores come along.
This
could
be it. And if Facebook, or as it is now known, Meta, like if they're the ones that are gonna simplify this out of anyone, it would either be them, Amazon, or Apple. I think they would have been like one of the three have to do it. And this is the good thing about good massive corporations like this. Like, a lot of people complain about like grown Amazon, too much money, all that sort of stuff. But if they can simplify this sort of stuff so people can make a living from it, like this might lead to artists that normally wouldn't make a penny off their stuff actually making a good living.
Yeah.
So I'm all for that as an artist. That. So it's just the weird sort of, like, as you're saying, like the temporary nature and how much control artists have over that. Because if it's all in the artist's hands, if it is like a temporary piece of art out of their choice, then it's their art. Like, they can do whatever the hell they want with it. They can make it temporary and make it so it's only accessible to people that tip them. I mean, I mean, that's fine, I guess. Like, if it's their choice. But if Facebook have them controls, then that's sort of a weird. That would be where it would get groany weird for me.
The kind of analogy I in my mind I've got, it's like a big corporation has bought all of the art pigments, and there's a paywall behind different colors. I mean, artists sometimes do have a paywall behind their own colors, and some artists like don't let other artists use colors, like Vanta Black and things.
Right.
So that has happened and can happen, and so I just hope that Facebook don't go, we own all the colors now, and you can pay to use these colors. Or they're doing that with platform. Like, this is the platform now. All the artists are going to come to this platform. We own the platform. And I just hope it doesn't foster one particular type of art movement.
Right. I mean, we see this in every single industry, though. I mean, we look at the arguments for Apple recently. They charging 30% of all income to the App Store when you upload something like that. I can imagine it'll be something similar to all the lines. But at the same time, like, if Facebook are providing a platform which is easy for people to access it, and you're able to just upload stuff, like, as much as they might be taken from that, like I hope that it isn't like you said, like, where they own certain like properties of your art. Like, hopefully it still belongs to the artist. It's just maybe you just have to pay like 20% tax, like, on all of the tips that you get. Which is fine, because if they're providing you an income, then you should have to like pay the tax, I guess. So it's weird.
It's Mark Zuckerberg in that video, and he's going, "Oh no, it's fading away." The woman's like, "I'll just tip the artist," and Mark Zuckerberg's like, Yep, I'll get some of that.
He's just counting
I'll get a few cents.
The Ethereum, right?
Some of that's going back in the back to me. Thank you very much.
Which, to be fair, I think that is allowed. You know, I as much as like people were grown
using
at
a platform, you got to pay to use a platform. Yeah,
because the way that I sort of look at it, like people complain about this stuff a lot, and there's nothing wrong with complaining. Like this is how stuff changes, like by complaining about it. But at the end of the day, like would you be making an income whatsoever if these things didn't exist, sort of thing? And that's sort of where my bottom line is. Like I as a concept artist, I constantly see people complaining about Photoshop and how much it costs or like the bugs that it has. Like, and when you see other concept artists like tweeting online saying, "Oh, what is the use of Photoshop? Like, what's it ever done for me?" And it's like, give you a career, a life,
enabled
pay your
career.
Bills.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just
helps secure your
mortgage.
Right. Yeah, that they're so. Yeah, I totally get that argument. Yeah,
and it's just I like $100 a year to something like Photoshop like is nothing. It's nothing compared to like how much income I make. Like it's actually a tiny stupid slither of a fraction. So when people complain about sort of stuff, it's kind of weird to me. But hopefully, like this whole meta blockchain stuff, like hopefully they sort of figure it all out to the point that it's even and it's fair and everyone's happy. And it's like
no one's going to be 100% happy, but we'll get to the like happy medium of.
There will be growing pains. It's going to take a while, but I think at the end of the day, if people are making money and making a living off stuff that they love to do through these means, then it's kind of a good thing. But it just depends.
One thing I did that did spark my interest was like, oh, maybe it's worth getting back into 3D because I had like a 3D background from uni and stuff, and did 3D environment art briefly and got into that. And I haven't touched 3D in years, and it was because the software Maya was just behind a paywall that I couldn't.
It's a massive paywall. Yeah, it's too big.
I just can't get there. I've got a PC now that could sort of handle it lightly, but nowhere near to like a professional.
Switch to Blender.
Level.
Blender is free.
Yeah.
And it's like it takes a little bit to get used to, like myself included. Like I'm same as you. I was in Maya like all the way through uni. I used it like my first few years while I was at Ubisoft. I just recently switched to Blender. It's kind of weird and clunky to get used to, but once you get over that hump, it's just like, oh yeah, this is way better. It doesn't crash as much either, which is just a massive plus because Maya is just infamous, absolutely infamous for like constantly having to save just in case.
Save. Yeah.
Because it would just
like when you know you're gonna like tessellate something, or when you know you're gonna do gonna like chop up a cube, like it's gonna split it. Oh, better save because that's something I know that's gonna. You know what's gonna crash it and what's not.
Right. And it's weird that you can get to that point where you know, like, okay, is this gonna crash it? Is this not gonna crash it? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I mean, there's same thing with Maya, I guess, as well. Like, there's so many different options and like competition now as well. Like with Blender, it's kind of.
It might be worth getting back into that space because there might be more of a reason to get in it. Like if I can get into that art space and like release things and have a platform for people to view my stuff, especially if it's like animated and interactive, then that kind of, the fact I'm making a video game, what's the difference? Like if something's interactive and looks nice and it occupies people time, it's, it only takes something that's measurable or a goal to achieve that turns into a video game.
Yeah.
Really. That's the only difference between those two things.
Yeah, we're going through like a weird sort of second renaissance, like for art recently, like over the last sort of 10 years. I think it's sort of missed a lot of people, like how much people are making a living off this stuff now.
This last year, people have spent money on art, probably for that have never, I would love to see the number of people that have bought art for the first time over this last year with NFTs.
Right.
And you could argue you haven't bought art, you've just bought the rights to the fact that you own a bit of blockchain with
to me none of that matters. Like at the end of the day, you're providing an income to the artist, and I think that's what's the important part of all of this. Like I don't think you really care about like buying a GIF online or whatever. Like you don't really care if it's
they're supporting artists is what they're doing when
they're not paying to own it. They're paying to be like, I'm supporting this person because I love what they do. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you can set up your own little, and there's people that do that. They have like art galleries with NFTs which have got like animated frames and stuff in their houses, and you can walk through like an art gallery. That's cool, nice sentiment. But at the end of the day, the reason why they bought it is, for one, so they could get more followers, because they really only buy NFTs from people that have got a load of followers, and two is to support the artists that they actually bought it from. That's it. They're the only reasons, really. So it's a very weird sort of system. But at the end of the day, like, a lot of people are just making money on a load of art now. People are buying art again, and we've never really been through this sort of. And as much as nuts as it all is, and as confusing as it all is, like, it's a good thing. Like, it's only growing the industry, and artists are allowed to just stay at home and draw stuff and get paid for it, which is cool. Like, it's good that we're getting to this point again, because it's been a very, very long time since, like the canvas easel sort of thing with the beret on, like, trying to, like, I can't afford my rent, but I'm going to carry on being passionate about this.
Well, Van Gogh, yeah. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we
yeah.
joked about that earlier. I mean, and he didn't make any money until he died. And it's the same thing for, like, H.P. Lovecraft. Like, same thing, like, when, like, after, like, he died in poverty, like, literally starved to death. And then, like, all of his work exploded after.
Edward Hopper is one of my favourite artists. He didn't really get well known until he died.
Yeah.
Sold, but money didn't go up until after he died. So yeah.
So, and that was sort of like the ending to, like, people buying good art, like, back then. And that's sort of like, there's a revival of that at the moment, which is exciting. Like, it's cool for artists if you're into that sort of stuff.
Digital renaissance, I would say, for sure.
Absolutely.
Maybe this Facebook thing can get that ramped up.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I mean,
we've got to be optimistic, haven't we?
I'm trying to be. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of people groaning at this, and rightfully so. They should be poking holes in it and asking questions, but I don't know.
Well, it was scary because it's a video and you know nothing about the details. That is inherently scary, because it's like, this could be bad. And yeah, totally could be bad. Could be evil corporation doing evil things to milk money out of people. But if people can make a living out of it, what's the harm in Facebook taking a cut? You could argue.
Yeah, but I think like the only messy thing about all of this is how people get paid. Are they getting paid through
Facebook likes?
Right. It's like, all joking aside, is it? Stuff like
meta
that. Like,
tokens.
You get what are meta tokens, right? Like, stuff like that. Is it going to be? Are they going to make a new Bitcoin? Is it a new Facebook currency or whatever? Like, all of this stuff. We
all
don't
unknown
know
at the moment.
It's all unknown, and that's where it can get like weird and greedy and gross, and like that's the stuff that we need to get details on. But the idea, the vision of it, I understand it. I mean, they're setting up for like, all of this to me just sounds like they're setting up for an AR future, not a VR future, but AR, like walking around with glasses on.
So like established in virtual reality and like virtual reality spaces, and then migrate over to the living room.
I think so.
Like that.
I mean, it's like they were saying, "Oh, look at this cool like memorial or whatever." It's like, okay, if I'm just wearing a pair of glasses or contact lenses or whatever instead, and they just appear, like, if I've bought, you can imagine as like NFT buyers. Like, if they've bought a load of art and, like, they're walking through the streets of their city or their town or whatever, and all of the art that they've bought is on the side of buildings, and they're just walking through enjoying the stuff that they've bought, and they see it everywhere. That's a good thing, I think. That's not a bad idea. Like, the vision of that is great. It's just we've got a lot of weird, gross things that we have to sort of maneuver
to get
through
in
before
the
we
middle
get to
to
that.
get that. Yeah, technology needs to ramp up for sure, and
Yeah.
Maybe, but it makes sense for it to establish itself in something that's like this big that goes on your face.
Oh yeah,
because back in like the 90s or whatever, headsets came out like this far. Like, I don't know if the camera can pick up, but they were like this far, and they were like weigh you down. And,
right.
So they've been around, and then now they're getting smaller, and
I do
continue to get that.
I do think Facebook needs a little bit of competition in the VR space to really push it forward. And I think the next people are going to be Apple. I think they're going to be getting into this fight soon. And when that happens, I think it's going to be an explosion of these headsets. And I think when we get to AR, that's when I'm going to be really excited. I think that's when it gets really interesting. We'll see.
Yes, we shall see. But yeah, so that's in a nutshell is the Meta Facebook thing, the news, and we're just. People on here are not going to be going, oh, what happened with Facebook? They'll just be looking for our insight on it. So I think we've provided that.
I think so. I mean,
let us know in the comments if we didn't mention anything or cover anything that you were interested to hear about, and if we can always put it in the comments afterwards what we thought of X, Y, and Z. But yeah, that's probably a good place to leave it now.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we should wrap it up. But yeah, we really appreciate everyone for joining us. I know, like, at 100 subscribers, we really appreciate like everyone's sort of input as well. Like our regular viewers and listeners, like we appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, then please be the 100th. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's still 99. As you know, I've just looked now. Still 99.
Just checking, just in case.
Time of recording. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, Chris, where can people find you, man?
So on Twitter, I'm at Acrylic Pixel, and I've got a little YouTube channel to talk about my indie game, just a little one, which is Acrylic Pixel as well. I haven't mentioned my indie game at all. I'm still working on it, still plugging away, still chugging along.
I've got some updates. We need to do that indie dev sort of specific episode. We'll do that soon.
Yeah, we need to arrange that. And where can we find your stuff, Vin?
Yep, you can find me on ArtStation. I am Vin Hill Art on ArtStation. I post up my concept art there, and I'm also on Twitter, which is at Hillfort Games. Like we've just mentioned, the indie stuff which I've been doing. I've got a lot of stuff sort of in the pipe, and there's a lot of new features that I've been writing up. I got a really cool feature like worked out yesterday where I can. We'll go through it in our episode. So like tease. Yeah, I've got a cool feature like set up, and like I mean, it's not too cool, but it's cool to me. But we'll go into it in our like episode anyway. Okay. But yeah, that's all from us. Please like and subscribe. As we said, we really appreciate everyone for joining us, and we will catch you in the next one. So until next time, bye bye.
Bye bye.